Hello and welcome to Heartrepreneur TV. I am your co-host, Velma Gallant. We are excited to have you here today. We have a wonderful guest to share with you again. He's back, and we're going to be talking about today's show subject is the misconception of meditation. And our guest today is Juan D'Argent. With more than a decade practicing as a holistic practitioner, Juan uses his understanding of energetics and his proprietary core resonance process to help his fellow men have life-transforming breakthroughs and elevate their consciousness. Welcome to our show today, Juan.
Thanks for having me back again.
This is a
I'm
really
a repeated offender.
A very welcome guest to have you here again today. And for those of you who come to Heartrepreneurs on Facebook, you will see Juan in the community often sharing a lot of really excellent information. And today's subject, we are talking about meditation. Juan, why did you pick the title, The Misconception of Meditation?
Well, it is, that's a good question. And also a misconception. Because what we think of meditation is usually what is meditation. Everybody has a certain idea of what meditation should be. And again, what I'm going to talk about is my perspective. So somebody else's perspective may be different. So don't be offended if I'm going against the grain. So to me, when you approach meditation, you should approach it like with no expectation.
Mhm.
Like people that I believe doesn't like meditation or have tried but have not succeeded had some kind of expectation into it, or were told, okay, this is what the instructor, whether brought them into meditation, told them, okay, this is what you're going to experience. To me, when you meditate, it's a personal experience, something between you and you. The you which is outside, the you that everybody knows, the one, and the me that is within the soul, the higher self, or whatever name you want to give it. So this is basically what to me is meditation, is the connection between, is the reconnection between the two, the physical and the spirit. And from that connection, then we can come up to the bigger connection, the oneness. That's where we say some people have acquired it's a saint or whatever, and that's when you become enlightened. So it's all about connection. And when we approach meditation in that way, we should succeed, because it's my experience is my experience. It's not, what experience will not be the same as yours. So when somebody sit down with you and said, okay, you go in a class and they said, okay, let's meditate, and now you should feel that you don't have any thought, and what's going to happen?
Exactly. You're going to start thinking.
and again, it's not the fault of the person that is instructing, it's that they were not guided that way.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the West, we put too much emphasis on meditation and I would say, what happened with meditation? We're getting good health. It's going to release stress. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. So again, when we go into it, we go with expectation.
That's true. That's true. Often we have this checklist of things that are supposed to be the results of meditation. So
Yes.
yeah, we are walking in with
The
that.
with meditation, the byproduct is going to be those things that we said we are going to find out. It's a byproduct. It's not the meditation that provides that. The meditation provides a connection with you. And that's the hard part for a lot of people, because when the connection with you starts, if we can say, sometimes all hell break through, because you're connecting with you, the true you, all your emotion. And again, it's all the emotion, the raw, what I would use a words that I don't like, the bad emotion or the good emotion. To me,
Mm.
emotion is just emotion. There's no good, no bad. And again, when we start putting a label on it, we are judging. And with judgment, we cannot move forward.
That's true. That's true. I love playing with words because they support me with um they just support me. I can't really even tell you what it is exactly that being conscious of my words supports me with. So I like judgment. I like the word discernment because I have a judgment around the word judgment. I don't know if you noticed that. But and the other part that I got out of listening to that is, um, oh shoot, it just escaped me. Oh well, I guess it wasn't that important. We'll keep going.
Yeah, so having those components in place, then we can sit and meditate. And what happened again is when those emotions come up, that's when your guide, your instructor would be helping you through sitting with those emotions. Like I say, is we're not dismissing them.
Hmm.
We're acknowledging them. And also once those emotions come up because it's part of us.
Hmm.
And we are like, a good analogy is a coin. A coin has always have two faces,
Hmm.
the face and the tail. So let's get into some language that everybody will understand. The face can be the good part, the tail can be the bad part. But if we always look at the face, does that mean we are not seeing the coin? The coin is always there with the other part. So when we start looking at things just in one direction, we need to also acknowledge that, okay, there's the other part that is
Hmm.
there. And that's very, and again, it's part of, I would say, cultural thing.
Hmm.
And it's been bringing forward, more emphasis was put of it with things like The Secrets and the whole thing that follow up. It's
Yeah.
like, was always like, okay, be positive, be positive, be positive. Yes, we need to think of something as positive, but we cannot ignore the other component of it. As a person, we have this emotion. Let's say anger. We get angry because something happened. It's natural. But does that mean we have to dwell in anger? We experience the anger, we acknowledge it. Okay, I'm angry because something happened to me, usually something that's not good that happened to me, or unfair, and I get angry. Yes, now, okay, good, let's carry on. But a lot of time we have people that get get angry, a week later they're still angry about the same thing, and that thing is like all gone, it's in the past, it does not exist anymore.
Yeah, and as I've been playing with emotions and um, words and stuff like that, I look at them, I look at the emotions, or I choose to look at the emotions more as a communication. What's this communicating to me? Am I angry about something? Have I lowered a boundary? Have I, how have I impacted this? Because again, anger more often than not for me has been because a boundary has been crossed. Well, a boundary cannot be crossed unless I'm the one that lowered it. So, I try more often to use them as a self-reflection tool. So when we, because I want to bring this back to the meditation, you were talking about how if an emotion comes up in the meditation, we sit with it. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yes. So what we do, we we don't dwell in with the emotion, but we acknowledge it, and okay, and we keep our, usually during a meditation we do some breathing. We keep breathing, and we stay with that emotion. Eventually it will leave us. It may take it, it takes longer not to process the emotion that it takes to process it. When we don't process an emotion, it stays with us for years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that will reflect on our life. Whereas if we, during the meditation, something come up, and again, the way I'm talking about meditation is reflecting with yourself. The self is there first, and then we can reflect on other things, more spiritual things, depending on where, what's your goal and what you want to do with that tool. The meditation
Mm-hmm.
is just a tool.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree 100%.
And in the and not expect, okay, I'm meditating now, I'm going to after that I'm going to be, I won't have any stress. Well, good luck.
That's just it. Stress is one of those things that I don't want to be in it constantly, right? And yet stress is part of growth.
It is part of growth, it is part of life, especially our modern life is full of stress.
Mhm.
Why? Again, it's because the way our limbic system works. We are programmed, we are human that have been programmed for thousands of years, and our stress response is to everything that is new, that is life threatening. When we go out, we are on the road, we are in a constant stress because we may drive a car. It may have become automatic to us to just drive a car and not pay too much attention. But each time another car comes in our direction, it's like, oh, there's a danger here. In
Mhm.
a subconscious minds being like really alert, because there's nothing that say that car is not going to swerve and hit us. So we
Mhm.
are aware of that, and the subconscious is aware of it. So as soon as another car coming in direction, the red light goes on, the alert light goes on. And how many cars on our trip do we pass
Mhm.
by? Now, not to consider those drivers that will do things that they are not supposed to do on the road, which will bring more awareness to the stressful situation. And at
Mhm.
the end of the day is like, we took the trip, well, we arrive, we do not de-stress. And just go through a meditation is not, it's not necessarily going to help unless you have been practicing for a long time. And like with every, it's like your meditative muscle will come up when you practice. It's like
Yes.
if you go to the gym one day and expect to lose 20 pounds, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So you need to keep going to the gym for a certain amount of time until you build a muscle and so forth. The same for meditation. You get into it and you meditate and you keep doing it. It will come. But again, it needs to be practiced. It's something new that you're learning. It's a learning skill. And once you pass a certain level, then certain things will start coming for you. You will start seeing things a little differently. Again, what you have done is a lot of time when the first barrier is those emotions. Once you pass that barrier of those emotions, what happens is like you free yourself of of a screen, if you want, that were in front of you. Those emotions are like screens or lenses, different colors
Mm.
lenses that were there. And so you clean those lenses. Now they are not colored or tinted anymore. So you have a clear vision of what's in front of you. So you see life in a different perspective because it it's not tinted anymore. So life may seem more rosy to you, or you see things a lot different. Nothing has changed. Your environment is still exactly the same.
Mhm.
Meditation is not going to change your environment, but the way you react to your environment will be different.
Absolutely.
So, that's a big difference between the Eastern and Western uh, cultures. In Western cultures, we are looking at the results. That whereas in the Eastern culture, when they do meditation, they look at, okay, I'm going to do meditation mostly to get to the divine. It's
Right.
more they go more towards the spiritual route instead of the physical route, get all the benefit. They still get those benefits, but there is no emphasis on it. They are not going to go sit down for half an hour to meditate every day or whatever time you put for it and think, okay, I'm going to be able to live an unstressful life. Things come up to them and they just ride with it.
Mhm.
And again, I believe it's a cultural thing because meditation was brought to us, I believe, around the 19th century. Before that, in the Western culture, there was no meditation. There was in religion, there was what's called contemplation,
Okay.
and which is a way of meditating, but it was not for the seculars. It was more the monastic or somebody who wanted to the recluse, the
Yeah.
saints. They are the one that were practicing it, but not the everyday people, the secular people. So this was not really some. This was brought to the general population, if you want, more around the. Uh, I would, I think around the. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not too sure about the time frame, but around the 19th century or so,
Mhm. Mhm.
when this was really made available to the general public. It was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were an earlier information about it. They were brought by those people that did commerce and the merchant and things like this. They went to the Orient and noticed the way they were doing things like this, and they brought it to the Western again, but it was not to the general public. It
Yeah.
was for small group things like that. But the general public was more aware of meditation around, I believe, the 19th century, 1875 or something like that.
So because most people focus on what they're going to get from meditating, Do you think that's part of why it becomes so hard for them because
Yes.
they're not getting what they think they should be getting?
Yes. If you take a trip and you take a trip, somebody told you, okay, when you take that trip, you're going to be able to, let's say, let's think of something. You're able to collect 20 of certain rare things. And you take that trip and you did not happen to see 20 of those rare things, you saw only maybe like two of them. Would you not be disappointed?
Yeah. Yes, I would be because I had the expectation I'm going to get 20.
Exactly. So when we go with expecting things, we are most likely, anytime we have some kind of expectation, we are setting ourselves up uh, for disappointment
Hmm. Yes. So
because
how do
things is not going to happen exactly the way we think it's going to happen.
so how do we
Very,
let
very seldom.
go? How do we let go of expectations walking into the meditation process? Because I mean, I know I'm often wired for I do this to get that.
Yes, again, it's a very cultural way of thinking. It's everything seems to be linear. Nothing is really linear. We have if you look at life itself, we have the ebb and flow
Hmm.
always. And with meditation also, we go in, let's say we want to get relieve stress.
Hmm.
We start meditation. But by just thinking about, okay, I'm going to start relieving stress, we put ourselves in a state of stress.
Yes.
So let's approach it this way. Say, okay, I'm going to meditate, and maybe I will be out of stress. I'm open to receive anything that come up to me. I'm open to experience whatever come up.
Okay. So walking in more with a curiosity rather than an agenda.
Yes. So when we are open for anything that come up, we definitely going to receive something. And it may not be what we are thinking we'll receive, but we'll receive something. We are open to receive. We are open. So something is going to happen, and whatever happen would be something good for us.
Hmm.
Now, that's the other part is like when we start sitting with our emotion, we start thinking, well, that's not too good for us because we start seeing the dark side of ourselves that we don't want to see.
So interesting. When you said that, I'm like, when I look at the moon, sometimes I see the light side and sometimes I see the dark side, and neither side is good or bad. It's just a moon.
Exactly. But again, as human, we tend to put everything in a little box. Everything has
Hmm.
to have a name. Everything needs to be in a certain way. So when we start looking at it this way, that's when people start getting discouraged about it. It's like, okay, all I'm doing is I'm coming out really nervous about it because I'm seeing that ugly person and I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So walking in with curiosity rather than an agenda. So are there specific ways to meditate, or is it just simply because I mean I've played with walking meditations, and I've, digging my hands in the garden as using that as a meditation, or um I've even used cleaning my home as a meditation, and I just kind of am present in that experience. Do you recommend specific types of meditation, or is
Well,
it?
there are specific type of meditation out there.
Mhm,
We have all sort of meditation. Some that's been uh, developed by somebody who have attained certain enlightenment status or whatever. But again, to me, meditation is when you start being present, when you start being in the moment, accepting everything that is happening in the moment. Because we cannot say that it'd be very difficult for us, especially in our society nowadays, to live in the moment 24 hours a day.
mhm.
So when we are in the moment, we are in a meditative state. And at that point, it can happen anytime, anywhere. A couple of breaths just to center ourselves and just be there for 1 second. And then we can go 2 seconds and
Mm,
increase. It's a, it's like when, if you've been in bedridden for a month, you cannot just go out and start walking 10 miles.
right.
You start walking from your bed to the bathroom, then from your bed to the kitchen, from your bed outside, and increasing it a little at a time. It's the same thing. Don't sit down and go for think about, okay, the first time I'm going to tackle meditation. You sit down and say, okay, I'm going to meditate for an hour. You're setting yourself up.
I know I set aside 15 minutes a day in the morning. And I listen to music while I do it. And I notice that in that 15 minutes, I would actually say that I go in and out of meditation, and I haven't worried about it. That, if I'm fully present and in the moment for 5 minutes, and then I pop out for a couple of seconds because I go wandering off into the future or something, or into the past, it's okay because I've given myself 15 minutes. So even if I'm actually meditating for any 8 of those 15 minutes, it's okay. I've given myself that space to do it.
Yes, yeah. And you can allocate time like this, so you can be spontaneous. But it's best if you start to allocate a time frame. Go to some place where you will not be disturbed.
Mhm.
When you are good at it, you can be in the airport and meditate. It's
Mm,
not going to bother you
mhm.
because again, you've been practicing for a certain time. But if you're starting, just put yourself in a place where you will not be disturbed, like first thing in the morning when you know the whole house is quiet. If you have children, the children is not going to be coming over,
Mhm.
or in the evening, anytime. You just put yourself, and it's a good practice to also like have a space for it. Like
Mhm.
sit in a chair and sit in the same chair every time. If you are comfortable sitting on the floor, sit on the floor. It doesn't matter. To me, again, that's me talking. If you go to somewhere else, you learn a certain type of meditation, they might be more regimental about it. They might have certain uh, way that you need to sit. You have to have certain mantra that you need to recite.
Mhm. Mhm.
You have to have certain mudra, which is hand movement or whatever that you need to do. All those are again, tools that will enhance the meditative process, but you don't need those.
Right. Well, and I think if we're approaching it as a practice and the curiosity is the important thing, I think that gives us permission to play with different things and notice which one which one works for me, because like for me, that 15 minutes, that's been working for me. I do red light therapy and I have a grounding mat and I do it in a specific location. And it's not because this is the right way. It's just simply this is what's been working for me. And so for today, I continue with this and
Yeah,
I might just change it up.
yeah. Find whatever works for you, and if you find a practice that resonate with you, go for it. I'm not against any practice or anything. It's that as long as you do it, and if you need tools, you think you will need tools, you have one that is available to you 24 hours a day, your breath.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best tools to use to be able to meditate, to get to that state of total relaxation and meditation is your breath. It's it has a spiritual component and a physical component, and you can get into also the scientific part of it. Your breath will change the connection of your nervous system from autonomic nervous system to uh, the other nervous system.
I like this because basically it's what I'm hearing is it doesn't need to be complicated. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't need to be specific. And when we're in it, being curious about whatever happens is where we end up opening ourselves up to receiving all the extra benefits at the end. But we want to be present here right now in the experience and not worrying about those results.
Right? And you mentioned that sometimes your imagination or something come to your mind. Meditation to me, does that mean that there's not, the mind is free or there's nothing? There's that void that people think about when they are meditating. You can meditate and go on a trip. Use your imagination. Your imagination is your second tool that you can use for your meditation. Because again, if you're sitting still and things start coming up, like you jump from this idea, or what I did last night, or what I did at work yesterday or this morning, come up. Well, why not use your imagination? Use your imagination and start. Okay, start taking a deep breath. Close your eyes and go on a trip. Go on an adventure for yourself, because your imagination is for you, whatever you want to experience at the time. And what that does, again, it puts you in a different state of mind.
Mhm,
You are not your brain is not vibrating at a certain frequency. It's moved to a different frequency,
mhm.
and it's going to lock itself in that frequency. As long as you stay in that frequency for a certain amount of time, you're going to receive a benefit. So use your imagination. Go, like I said, go on a trip. Every day can be different. And the other thing that we sometimes have heard people say that, okay, my meditation was not the same today as it was yesterday. Don't don't compare. Every day is an
Mm,
experience. It's
absolutely.
very unlikely that you will have 2 days with the same experience. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, I said unlikely.
Yeah. I've never actually thought about that. I just and just do it because for me, it's been the decision was made to do the meditation as a way of caring for myself. And I don't I don't even worry about what the results of caring for myself are going to be, because if I'm caring for myself, it's going to be all good anyways. So it really is okay, whatever shows up. So, okay, actually, I just noticed the time. I find this topic highly fascinating, which is why I lost track of time. Uh, so, um, do you have any parting thoughts you'd like to share about meditation before we close this?
No, I would suggest that everybody give it a try. Give it a try. If you cannot meditate by yourself, find somebody that can guide you. Now, that's
Mhm.
very important to choose the right person to guide you. You may try a different person until that connection clicks. Because, like I mentioned earlier, it is like you may go in a, let's say, yoga class, and they start the meditation, they start giving you instruction on how to do it. If you don't feel comfortable with that, that's okay. That's just for you. Find another way of doing it. Do it by yourself and see what happens.
Mhm.
If the monkey minds start coming up, go on a trip in your mind.
Take the monkey for a trip.
Yes, and see what happens. And if doesn't really work, then again find somebody that can assist you.
Mhm. Awesome. Awesome.
And don't
Okay.
forget to breathe.
And don't forget to, that one I think is super important. I think that one is very important because I notice when I notice something in my body, I notice that I've stopped breathing. So I can definitely see that connection there. So for those of you that are in Heartrepreneurs on Facebook, would love to hear in the comments, what are your thoughts about meditation? What are some of the meditations that ways of meditating that have worked for you? Share your experience with it. And if you have any questions about it, post those in the comments as well. And Juan will come and share his thoughts on whatever your questions are. And I might share a couple of thoughts too. And for those of you out in YouTube land, come on over to Heartrepreneurs with Terry Levine. Join our Facebook community. We'd love to have you, and you can spend time with more heart-based business owners like myself, like Terry, and like Juan. We'd love to have you here. Juan, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your uh, ideas and experiences around meditation with us. I really appreciate you.
It is my pleasure. And
Thanks so much.
I like to just add an apartheid here. I have not been on social media for at least 6 months. I took some time out, so I'm coming back.
I recognize that. I recognize that. I've taken quite a bit of time off recently myself, so I definitely recognize that. Thanks everyone, and have an absolutely fantastic day. Thanks for coming and playing.
Bye bye.